My beloved child, there is a word many people misunderstand, a word that often creates resistance before it even has the chance to reveal its true purpose. That word is discipline. The moment many hear it, they think of restriction, rules, pressure, limitations, loss. They imagine something heavy, something unpleasant, something that steals freedom. And because of that misunderstanding, countless people spend years running from one of the very things that was meant to protect them. But my beloved, what if everything you believed about discipline was incomplete? What if discipline was never intended to imprison you? What if discipline was actually one of the greatest expressions of my love? Listen carefully. Imagine a beautiful garden, filled with life, filled with color, filled with potential. Now imagine that same garden without protection. No fence, no boundaries, no care, no attention, no cultivation. At first, nothing seems wrong. The flowers still bloom. The grass still grows. Everything appears normal, but eventually weeds begin to spread. Animals enter freely. The soil becomes damaged. The beauty begins to fade, not because the garden lacked potential, but because it lacked protection. My child, discipline is the fence around the garden, not the prison, the protection, the preservation, the safeguard. And what I have placed inside you is far too valuable to leave unprotected. Your peace is valuable. Your purpose is valuable. Your calling is valuable. Your relationships are valuable. Your future is valuable. The flame within you is valuable. Why would I not teach you how to protect it? Many people believe freedom means doing whatever they want, following every impulse, following every emotion, following every desire. But that kind of freedom often becomes another form of slavery. Because when every impulse controls you, you are no longer free. You are being led by whatever feeling is strongest in the moment. True freedom is different. True freedom is the ability to choose what is right, even when something easier is available. True freedom is the ability to remain focused when distractions appear. True freedom is the ability to protect what matters most. That is why discipline leads to freedom, not away from it, my beloved. You have seen this principle throughout life. A musician practices discipline so they can create beautiful music. An athlete embraces discipline so they can perform at their highest level. A builder follows discipline so the structure remains strong. A farmer practices discipline so the harvest can come. And yet many expect spiritual strength without spiritual discipline. They desire peace without guarding their thoughts. They desire clarity without seeking wisdom. They desire direction without spending time listening. They desire strong faith while neglecting the very habits that strengthen faith. And then they wonder why the flame struggles to remain bright. My beloved child, the issue is not your desire. I know your desire is real. I know your heart wants to move closer to me. I know you long for peace. I know you long for purpose. I know you long for greater stability. The issue is not desire. The issue is consistency. Because destiny is often shaped by what you repeatedly do, not merely by what you occasionally desire. Think about that. Many lives are changed not by one dramatic decision, but by small choices repeated over time. Small prayers, small acts of obedience, small moments of gratitude, small moments of self-control, small decisions to keep moving forward. These seem insignificant in the moment, yet they quietly shape an entire future. As it is written, "Blessed is the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water." Psalm 1:2-3. Notice the image. A tree, not a flower, not a spark, not a passing season. A tree, something stable, something rooted, something capable of enduring storms. And why is the tree stable? Because its roots remain connected to the source. My child, discipline is how roots remain connected. Discipline is not about earning my love. You already have my love. Discipline is not about proving your worth. Your worth was established long ago. Discipline is about remaining connected to what gives life. It is about staying near the source. Because when roots remain connected, growth becomes inevitable. There may still be storms, there may still be droughts, there may still be difficult seasons, but the roots continue drawing life from beneath the surface. And that is exactly what I desire for you, not temporary excitement, not emotional highs that disappear after a few days, not motivation that fades when circumstances become difficult. I desire something deeper, something stronger, something lasting. I desire roots. My beloved, there is another misunderstanding I must correct. Many people assume discipline means perfection. But discipline has never been about perfection. Discipline is about returning when distracted, returning when discouraged, returning when tired, returning when you stumble, returning when you lose focus. Because every person occasionally drifts. Every person occasionally struggles. Every person occasionally grows weary. The difference is not whether you drift. The difference is whether you return. That is what discipline truly is. Not flawless performance, faithful returning. And perhaps this is why I brought you to this message today. Because recently, you have been harder on yourself than I have been. You have focused on where you fell short. I have focused on the fact that you are still here. You have focused on what remains unfinished. I have focused on what is still growing. You have focused on temporary weakness. I have focused on long-term transformation. And transformation takes time. Roots take time. Maturity takes time. Character takes time. My beloved child, do not become discouraged because growth feels slow. Do not become discouraged because change feels gradual. The strongest trees grow slowly. The deepest roots develop quietly. The greatest transformations often happen where nobody can see them, including you, even now while you are listening. Even now, while these words settle into your heart, something is changing. Your perspective is changing. Your awareness is changing. Your understanding is changing. The fence is being rebuilt. The garden is being protected. The roots are growing deeper, and soon you will begin to see the fruit. But before the fruit appears, there is something else I must reveal. Something many people overlook. Something that often disguises itself as freedom while quietly stealing destiny. A subtle trap, a dangerous illusion, an invitation that seems harmless at first. Yet it has delayed countless people from walking fully into the future prepared for them. Stay with me, my beloved, because in the next part, I will reveal the trap that looks like freedom. And once you recognize it, you will understand why some distractions carry a far greater cost than they first appear. My beloved child, there is a trap that has delayed many destinies. A trap so subtle that most people never recognize it until years have passed. A trap that rarely announces itself as danger. In fact, it often arrives wearing the appearance of freedom. It presents itself as harmless, reasonable, comfortable, deserved. And because it feels so natural, many people welcome it without hesitation. Yet, little by little, it begins stealing something precious. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually, quietly, patiently. My beloved, the enemy rarely succeeds by convincing people to abandon their purpose overnight. That would be too obvious. Instead, he offers distractions. Small distractions, comfortable distractions, pleasant distractions. Distractions that seem insignificant in the moment. One unnecessary delay, one ignored prompting, one compromise. One excuse, one decision to wait until tomorrow, and then another, and another, and another, until what was once a small distraction becomes a pattern, and what was once a pattern becomes a lifestyle, and what was once a lifestyle becomes a destiny. Do you see? Destiny is rarely lost in a single moment. It is usually surrendered one distraction at a time. My beloved child, one of the greatest lies in this generation is the belief that freedom means never denying yourself anything. People are taught to follow every feeling, every impulse, every craving, every desire. If something feels good, they pursue it. If something feels difficult, they avoid it. If something requires sacrifice, they postpone it. If something demands discipline, they question it. And yet they wonder why peace remains elusive, why fulfillment remains temporary, why purpose feels distant. The answer is simple. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everything that feels comfortable is helping you. Not everything that is available deserves your attention. My child, every day you are making choices, not only large choices, small choices, and those small choices are shaping your future. You are becoming what you repeatedly choose, the books you read, the voices you listen to, the thoughts you entertain, the habits you tolerate, the environments you remain in, the people you allow to influence you. None of these are neutral. They are all leading somewhere. That is why discernment matters, because what enters your life eventually begins shaping your life. As it is written, I have the right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. 1 Corinthians 10:23. Listen carefully to those words. Not everything is beneficial. Not everything is helpful. Not everything is necessary. Not everything deserves a place in your heart. My beloved, many people ask whether something is allowed. Few ask whether it is beneficial. Few ask whether it is strengthening the flame. Few ask whether it is moving them closer to their purpose. Few ask whether it is helping them become who I created them to be. And that question changes everything. Because some things are not evil, they are simply unnecessary. Yet unnecessary things often consume the time, energy, and attention that should have been invested elsewhere. Think about that. A garden is not destroyed only by weeds. Sometimes it is overcrowded by things that should never have been planted there in the first place. The same can happen within your soul. You become busy with distractions, busy with noise, busy with things that seem urgent but are not important, busy with things that entertain but do not strengthen, busy with things that occupy your mind but never nourish your spirit. And slowly the flame receives less attention, the roots receive less nourishment, the purpose receives less focus. My beloved child, I want to ask you something. What has been occupying your attention lately? What thoughts have been consuming your mind? What habits have been consuming your time? What distractions have been receiving energy that belongs elsewhere? Do not answer quickly. Pause, reflect, listen. Because sometimes the answer is not obvious. Sometimes the greatest distractions are the ones that have become normal. The things you no longer question. The things you have accepted as part of daily life. Yet those very things may be stealing more from you than you realize. My child, I am not calling you into fear. I am calling you into awareness, because awareness creates freedom. You cannot change what you refuse to recognize. You cannot protect what you refuse to value, and you cannot strengthen what you continually neglect. This is why I am speaking to you now, because there is more within you than what you are currently experiencing. There is greater peace, greater clarity, greater strength, greater purpose, greater influence. But reaching those things requires letting go of what hinders them. And sometimes what hinders them is not sin. Sometimes it is simply distraction, the wrong focus, the wrong priorities, the wrong habits, the wrong rhythms. My beloved, many people spend years praying for breakthrough while continuing to feed the distractions that delay it. They pray for peace while consuming anxiety. They pray for clarity while surrounding themselves with confusion. They pray for purpose while investing their attention in things that weaken purpose. Then they wonder why change feels slow. But my child, everything grows where attention goes. Whatever you continually feed becomes stronger. Feed fear and fear grows. Feed doubt and doubt grows. Feed distraction and distraction grows. Feed the flame and the flame grows. The choice is always shaping something, even now, even today, even in this moment. That is why the trap is so dangerous. Because it does not feel dangerous, it feels harmless, comfortable, convenient, reasonable. Yet behind it lies delay. Behind it lies stagnation. Behind it lies lost opportunity. And there are opportunities ahead of you that require greater focus than before. Opportunities that require greater awareness. Opportunities that require stronger discipline. Opportunities that require a heart fully aligned with my direction. My beloved child, there is another truth you must understand. Every great miracle in Scripture was preceded by private obedience. Long before public victory came private faithfulness. Long before visible breakthrough came invisible consistency. Long before the lion's den came years of prayer. Long before the giant fell came years of preparation. Long before the walls collapsed came seasons of obedience. The public miracle was only the visible result. The private discipline was the hidden foundation. And that brings me to someone you know well. A man surrounded by temptation. A man surrounded by pressure. A man surrounded by distractions. Yet he remained faithful, not because he was perfect, but because he protected his daily rhythm with me, my beloved. In the next part, I will show you the secret that sustained Daniel long before he entered the lion's den. And once you understand what happened behind closed doors, you will begin to see why some people remain strong even when everything around them tries to pull them away. Because the miracle did not begin in the lion's den. It began years earlier, in quiet moments that nobody else saw. My beloved child, many people admire miracles. They celebrate breakthroughs. They marvel at extraordinary victories. They read stories of great faith and wonder how such things could happen. But what they often fail to understand is this. The miracle is usually the final chapter, not the first. The visible victory is often the result of countless invisible decisions made long before anyone noticed. And nowhere is this truth more clearly revealed than in the life of Daniel. My beloved, you know the story. You know about the lions. You know about the den. You know about the miraculous deliverance. You know how I protected him. You know how the mouths of the lions were shut. You know how he emerged unharmed. And because that miracle is so dramatic, most people focus their attention there. But I want to show you something deeper, something hidden, something far more important. The miracle did not begin in the lion's den. The miracle began years before, in private, in silence, in ordinary moments, moments nobody applauded, moments nobody celebrated, moments nobody even noticed. Because long before Daniel faced lions, he learned how to face distractions. Long before Daniel stood before kings, he learned how to kneel before me. Long before Daniel experienced public victory, he practiced private faithfulness. My beloved child, this is the secret many overlook. Great strength is rarely built during great battles. It is built before the battle arrives. Think about Daniel. He lived in a culture that constantly pressured him to compromise. A culture filled with distractions. A culture that encouraged him to adapt, to blend in, to lower his standards, to become like everyone else. Yet Daniel remained different. Not because he was naturally stronger than everyone around him, not because he never faced temptation, not because he never experienced pressure, but because he established something within himself. A rhythm, a discipline, a habit of returning to me, day after day, month after month, year after year. My child, when people looked at Daniel, they saw wisdom, they saw favor, they saw strength. But they did not see what produced those things. They did not see the quiet prayers, the private surrender, the daily decisions, the unseen faithfulness. They saw the fruit, but they never saw the roots. And that is exactly what happens in many lives today. People admire outcomes while ignoring the process. They admire victories while avoiding preparation. They desire breakthrough while resisting consistency. But Daniel's story reveals a different path, a better path, a deeper path, the path of faithfulness. As it is written, Daniel continued praying 3 times a day, just as he had always done. Notice those words carefully, just as he had always done. not occasionally, not when convenient, not only during crises, not only when he needed something, not only when life became difficult. He prayed because it was his rhythm, his foundation, his source. My beloved, this is why the decree against Daniel failed. This is why the pressure failed. This is why fear failed. This is why the lions failed. Because Daniel had built his life upon something stronger than circumstances, something stronger than emotions, something stronger than public opinion, something stronger than fear. He had built his life upon continual connection with me, and that connection became his stability. My child, many people mistakenly believe that strength is developed during emergencies, but emergencies merely reveal what has already been developed. The storm does not create roots, the storm reveals roots. The battle does not create faith, the battle reveals faith. The pressure does not create character, the pressure reveals character. And when Daniel entered the lion's den, the pressure revealed what had already been growing for years. Trust, faithfulness, dependence upon me. That is why he remained steady, not because he was fearless, but because he was prepared. And perhaps this is something you need to hear today. Because recently you have been worried about future battles, future challenges, future uncertainties, future obstacles. You have wondered whether you are strong enough, whether you are prepared enough, whether you will be able to stand when difficult moments arrive. But my beloved child, you are asking the wrong question. The question is not whether you will be strong enough tomorrow. The question is whether you are staying close to me today, because tomorrow's strength is built through today's faithfulness. The lion's den was not Daniel's preparation. It was Daniel's opportunity to reveal his preparation. Do you see? That changes everything, because it means you do not need to fear the future. You only need to remain faithful in the present. Remain faithful today. Pray today. Listen today. Trust today. Obey today, and tomorrow will take care of itself. My beloved, there is another reason I want you to understand Daniel's story, because many people wrongly assume that faithfulness guarantees an easy life. It does not. Daniel remained faithful, yet he still faced opposition. Daniel remained obedient, yet he still faced danger. Daniel remained devoted, yet he still entered the lion's den. And that surprises many people. They think faithfulness should remove every challenge. But sometimes faithfulness leads directly into challenges. Not because I have abandoned you, but because I trust what I have built within you. Daniel did not enter the lion's den because he failed. He entered because he remained faithful. And my child, some of the difficulties you have faced were not evidence of failure either. Some of them were evidence of growth. Evidence that your roots were becoming stronger. Evidence that your faith was becoming deeper. Evidence that your dependence upon me was increasing. The enemy wanted you to interpret those moments as rejection, but they were preparation. The enemy wanted you to see them as setbacks, but they were strengthening seasons. The enemy wanted you to believe they were punishment, but they were refinement. And now, as you look back, you may begin to see it. The difficult seasons taught you things easy seasons never could. The waiting seasons deepened your trust. The uncertain seasons strengthened your faith. The painful seasons expanded your compassion. The lonely seasons increased your dependence upon me. Nothing was wasted, not one tear, not one prayer, not one struggle, not one lesson. I was using all of it, my beloved child. The reason Daniel's story still inspires people thousands of years later is not because of the lions. It is because of the faithfulness that came before the lions. The miracle was extraordinary, but the consistency was even more powerful. And that same principle is working in your life right now. Even if nobody sees it, even if nobody applauds it, even if nobody understands it, every prayer matters. Every act of obedience matters. Every decision to trust matters. Every moment of faithfulness matters, because those moments are building something stronger than you realize. something that will one day support the future I have prepared for you. And soon, very soon, I will show you another truth, a truth that many people underestimate, a truth hidden within ordinary choices, because most destinies are not determined by giant decisions. They are determined by small things, small habits, small responses, small acts of obedience, small compromises, small moments repeated over time. Stay with me, my beloved, because in the next part I will reveal why the little things often decide the biggest outcomes. And once you understand this principle, you will begin to see your entire life differently. My beloved child, there is a truth hidden in plain sight, a truth so simple that many overlook it. Yet it quietly shapes the direction of entire lives, entire families, entire generations. And the truth is this: big destinies are often decided by little things, not dramatic moments, not public victories, not extraordinary events, but small choices repeated consistently over time. My beloved, when people look at a great tree, they see its height, they admire its strength, they notice its beauty. But what they rarely see is the thousands of unseen days that made its growth possible. The small moments, the steady nourishment, the consistent development. Growth did not happen all at once. It happened gradually, quietly, day after day, and the same is true for every life. What you repeatedly do becomes who you eventually become. That is why small things matter far more than most people realize. Because every choice is moving you somewhere. Every thought, every response, every habit, every action, every delay, every act of obedience, every compromise, none of them are neutral. Each one is shaping the future. My beloved child, many people spend their lives waiting for a grand opportunity, a major breakthrough, a life-changing moment. And while they wait for something big, they ignore the small things standing right in front of them. But my kingdom often works differently. I watch how people handle small things first, not because the small things are insignificant, but because the small things reveal the heart. As it is written, whoever is faithful with very little will also be faithful with much. Luke 16:10. Notice what this means. Faithfulness does not suddenly appear when greater responsibility arrives. Faithfulness is developed beforehand. The person who manages a small responsibility with care will usually manage a larger responsibility with care. The person who ignores small responsibilities often struggles when greater opportunities arrive. Because character grows gradually, integrity grows gradually, wisdom grows gradually, trustworthiness grows gradually. My beloved, this principle explains much more than people realize. Many ask me for greater blessings, greater opportunities, greater influence, greater assignments, and yet they overlook the opportunities already placed in their hands. The conversations, the relationships, the daily responsibilities, the moments of obedience, the simple acts of faith, the ordinary opportunities to honor me. But those small moments matter deeply because they reveal readiness. Imagine a builder constructing a foundation. Every brick appears insignificant by itself, yet remove enough bricks and the structure weakens. Place enough bricks correctly and the structure becomes strong. Life works the same way. Your future is being built one brick at a time, not only through major decisions, but through daily choices. My beloved child, there are small acts of kindness that change destinies. Small prayers that alter futures, small moments of courage that create opportunities, small decisions to forgive, small decisions to trust, small decisions to continue moving forward. These things may seem ordinary, yet heaven sees them differently because heaven sees where they lead. Many people want extraordinary results while ignoring ordinary faithfulness, but extraordinary results are usually the harvest of ordinary faithfulness. The harvest always appears larger than the seed. That is why the seed is often underestimated. My child, think about David before he faced Goliath. The world remembers the giant, but I remember the sheep. the private fields, the hidden seasons, the lonely responsibilities, the moments when nobody was watching. Before David stood before a nation, he faithfully cared for a flock. Before he carried a crown, he carried responsibility. Before he fought giants publicly, he learned faithfulness privately. Do you see? The giant did not create David's courage, the giant revealed it. And courage was built through countless small moments no one celebrated. The same is true for you. Many of the things happening in your life right now may seem small, perhaps even insignificant, perhaps repetitive, perhaps unnoticed. But do not underestimate them, because I am often preparing you through the very things you consider ordinary. My beloved, the enemy understands this principle as well. That is why he does not always attack through major temptations. Sometimes he simply encourages small compromises, a little bitterness, a little procrastination, a little dishonesty, a little distraction, a little neglect, because he knows something many people forget. Small compromises grow, just as small acts of faithfulness grow. Everything grows. The question is, what are you cultivating? What are you feeding? What are you strengthening? Because whatever you repeatedly nourish becomes stronger. That is why protecting your daily habits matters. Protecting your thoughts matters. Protecting your attention matters. Protecting your priorities matters. Not because I desire control over your life, but because I desire freedom for your life. The freedom that comes from alignment. The freedom that comes from wisdom. The freedom that comes from walking in purpose, my beloved child. I know there have been moments when you felt your progress was too slow. Moments when you questioned whether anything meaningful was happening. Moments when you wondered if your efforts mattered, but listen carefully. The deepest transformations often happen so gradually that they are invisible while they are occurring. Roots grow silently. Character grows silently. Wisdom grows silently. Faith grows silently, and then one day the fruit appears, suddenly, unexpectedly, visible to everyone. Yet the fruit was never sudden. It was simply the visible result of an invisible process. That is exactly what is happening in your life. You may not see every change. You may not recognize every improvement. You may not understand every lesson, but growth is occurring. Preparation is occurring. Strength is being formed. Even now, even today, even while you are listening. My beloved, there is another truth hidden inside this principle. Most people believe destiny is decided by major moments, but often destiny is simply the accumulation of thousands of small decisions. A life is built one choice at a time. A marriage is strengthened one act of love at a time. A calling is fulfilled one act of obedience at a time. A future is shaped one day at a time. And because of this, you do not need to become overwhelmed by the future. You do not need to solve everything today. You do not need to carry tomorrow's burdens. You only need to be faithful today. Faithful in this moment. Faithful in this choice. Faithful in this step. Faithful in this season. Because today's faithfulness becomes tomorrow's strength. My beloved child, this is why I care about the little things. Not because they are little, but because they eventually become something much larger. And perhaps that is the twist you needed to hear. You have been looking for one giant breakthrough, one dramatic answer, one life-changing moment. But what if the breakthrough is already beginning? What if it is hidden inside the small decisions you are making right now? What if your future is already being shaped by choices that seem insignificant today? Because that is often how I work, quietly, gradually, faithfully, until one day what was hidden becomes visible. And then people call it a miracle. But I call it growth, my beloved, yet there is something else I must reveal. Because even faithful people sometimes find themselves facing the same struggle repeatedly, the same weakness, the same frustration, the same cycle, and many do not understand why. They pray, they try, they desire change, yet somehow they keep returning to the same battle. Stay with me, because in the next part, I will reveal why you keep returning to the same struggle. And once you understand the answer, you will begin to see that the issue was never the fall itself. The issue was something far more subtle, something most people never recognize until much later.